I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this.
And you should do that also, because just knowing people who are on Ritalin isn't enough. You should be a little bit more responsible.
For 400 years, that sounds like a choice. You was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all?
One interview can make or break a career, and these celebrities learned it the hard way. From Prince Andrew's royal disaster to Charlie Sheen's winning meltdown, we're breaking down the most career-damaging interviews of all time. Tom Cruise wasn't just Hollywood royalty, he was untouchable. But then came that 2005 sit-down with Matt Lauer on the Today Show. What should have been a polished promo turned into one of the most awkward, arrogant interviews of his career. Cruise went full preacher mode on psychiatry and antidepressants, snapping at Lauer with lines like, "You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do."
I understand there's abuse of all of these things. No, you don't know the history of psychiatry. I do.
It wasn't just a disagreement, it was a meltdown on national TV. Viewers saw a superstar, less interested in movies and more obsessed with lecturing the public. Add in the infamous Oprah couch-jumping moment around the same time. And suddenly, Tom wasn't charming, he was unhinged. Studios pulled back, fans checked out, and his golden boy image cracked wide open. Kanye West has never been afraid of a hot mic, but some interviews, they went nuclear. Forget the music, forget the fashion. This was pure chaos. One of his most infamous moments came during a 2018 sit-down with TMZ Live. Kanye dropped the line, "Slavery, that sounds like a choice."
This reality has been forced upon us. It is a choice, just like when I said slavery is a choice.
The room froze. You could almost hear careers, brand deals, and friendships breaking in real time. Even the TMZ staff called him out on air.
I think what you're doing right now is actually the absence of thought.
Within hours, the internet erupted. Fans boycotted. Headlines torched his name worldwide. This wasn't bold artistry, it was self-sabotage. And instead of clarifying, Kanye doubled down in later interviews, stacking controversy on top of controversy. For someone once hailed as a genius, his words became the wrecking ball that crushed his own empire. From unhinged to unsettling, the next one was all about cold, calculated silence. Sometimes, the most powerful man in the room is also the most unprepared. Prince Andrew thought he could set the record straight in that infamous BBC Newsnight interview. Instead, he dug his own grave on live TV. The Duke sat across from Emily Maitlis, denying ever meeting Virginia Giuffre, despite a photo that screamed otherwise. He insisted he had a medical condition that stopped him from sweating.
I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat.
And when asked if he regretted his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, his answer, no.
Do you regret the whole friendship with Epstein?
Now, still not.
That one word turned stomachs worldwide. By the end of the broadcast, his reputation wasn't just bruised, it was annihilated. Days later, royal duties gone, sponsors vanished. The monarchy distanced itself. That chair he sat in, it might as well have been an ejector seat. For a decade, Michael Richards was untouchable. Kramer was TV royalty. But in 2006, his entire career flatlined. Overnight, Richards wasn't even doing a polished interview. He was caught in a stand-up set meltdown and then sat down, trying to explain himself on late-night TV. After unleashing a racist tirade at hecklers in a comedy club, he went on Letterman via satellite to apologize. But instead of repairing his image, the interview made things worse. Richards looked panicked, defensive, and completely unprepared.
You know, I'm deeply, deeply sorry. And
For the tidal wave of backlash, the apology, it felt less like remorse and more like damage control. Overnight, the fun-loving neighbor everyone adored became a cautionary tale. Hollywood slammed the brakes. He wasn't just canceled, he was erased. Once Disney's golden child, Miley Cyrus was living proof that not all spotlights are safe. For years, she played the squeaky clean Hannah Montana. But when it came time to break out of that box, Miley went nuclear. In a series of interviews around 2013, she didn't just distance herself from Disney, she torched the bridge and danced on the ashes. She bragged about smoking weed, openly dismissed her family-friendly image.
It's not really the drinking, it's staying up all night. You know, once you have your drink, you end up smoking.
And gave the press soundbite after soundbite that had parents fuming. Add in her infamous Rolling Stone interview, where she mocked her critics and laughed off the backlash. And suddenly, the Disney darling was gone. Sure, it worked to reinvent her as an edgier pop star, but for Hollywood execs who banked on her wholesome image, it was career suicide in real time. But Miley, she was just breaking chains, because another pop superstar sat down for an interview. And what came out of his his mouth ended up costing him everything. Chris Brown had the world at his feet, chart-topping hits, superstar status, and a fan base ready to forgive. But when it came time to face the music, after the Rihanna assault case, his interviews did the opposite of helping. In 2011, on Good Morning America, Robin Roberts asked him about the incident.
I mean, not really. I mean, it's not really a big deal to me now as far as that situation. I think I'm past that in my life, and I think...
Instead of showing remorse, Chris snapped. He deflected questions, shut down mid-interview, and the moment cameras cut, he reportedly stormed backstage and smashed a window. That meltdown wasn't just gossip. It was the headline everywhere. The public didn't see a man seeking redemption. They saw someone angry, volatile, unapologetic. From then on, his career was a constant uphill battle, scarred by that one disastrous sit-down. Some interviews are bad. R. Kelly's was catastrophic. In 2019, facing accusations that could end his career and his freedom, Kelly sat down with Gayle King for CBS This Morning. What happened next turned into a viral implosion. Instead of calmly defending himself, Kelly exploded. He stood up, pounded his chest, screamed at the cameras, "I'm fighting for my life."
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life.
His own team had to hold him back. Theatrics aside, the world saw a man unraveling. On national TV, the meltdown became a meme factory. The internet never let it die, and any shred of public sympathy evaporated in minutes. That interview wasn't damage control. It was his coffin being nailed shut in real time. Liam Neeson had spent decades building a reputation. Hollywood's dignified action hero, the wise, heroic man with a very particular set of skills. But in 2019, he gave an interview that torched that carefully polished image in seconds. Neeson admitted that years ago, after a close friend was assaulted, he prowled the streets, looking for a random black man to pick a fight with.
There were some nights I deliberately into black areas looking to be set upon.
He thought it would be, quote, cathartic if he got into a violent clash. The backlash, immediate, brutal. What Neeson described wasn't just anger. It was a racially charged vigilante fantasy, broadcast worldwide. Overnight, the calm, respected actor became a cautionary tale about saying too much too honestly at the wrong time. His career, it never fully recovered. If Neeson's slip-up was shocking honesty, the next star's downfall was pure chaos, live on air. Whitney Houston. Some interviews don't just answer questions. They define a career's decline. In 2002, Whitney sat down with Diane Sawyer, a chance to end the drug rumors once and for all. Instead, it gave birth to one of pop culture's most infamous sound bites. Pressed about cocaine, Whitney fired back, "I make too much money to ever smoke crack. Crack is cheap. Crack is whack."
We don't do crack. We don't do that. Crack is whack.
The line was defensive, unforgettable, and instantly iconic for all the wrong reasons. Rather than clearing her image, it became a punchline. Late-night shows mocked it, tabloids looped it, and fans saw vulnerability instead of denial. For the voice herself, it marked a turning point. Whitney wasn't just battling rumors, she was battling herself. Jesse Eisenberg was riding high off the social network, praised as Hollywood's next big talent. But then came an interview that flipped the script, not with scandal, but with sheer arrogance. Sitting down with a young female reporter, Jesse's sarcasm bled into straight-up condescension. He mocked her questions, belittled her on camera, came off as the type of guy who thought he was too clever for everyone else in the room. What should have been light promo turned into a masterclass in cringe. Viewers didn't see a witty genius, they saw an actor dripping with smug superiority.
Do you know the comedian Carrot Top?
Yes, horrible.
Well, you were like the Carrot Top of interviewers.
Yeah.
The backlash was swift. Suddenly, Jesse wasn't quirky. He was insufferable. And once the internet brands you as a jerk, every future interview becomes a minefield. For Jesse, that one interview stuck like glue, overshadowing the talent he thought spoke for itself. Charlie Sheen. His downfall wasn't a slow burn. It was a televised explosion. At the height of 2.5 Men, he was TV's highest paid actor, pulling in millions per episode. Then came the infamous 2011 interview spree. Sitting in front of cameras, Sheen launched into rambling tirades about tiger blood, Adonis DNA, and how he was winning while the rest of the world was losing. But instead of sounding like a defiant comeback, he looked unhinged, sweaty, erratic.
Can't is the cancer of happen. I can't do it. The Nike slogan doesn't say, just try it.
And totally out of control. What he thought was power play bravado turned into late-night punchlines and endless internet memes. Within weeks, Sheen wasn't a superstar. He was a walking cautionary tale. Warner Brothers cut ties, producers walked away, and winning became the punchline to one of Hollywood's biggest meltdowns. Paula Deen, for years, she was America's comfort food queen, smiling on the Food Network, selling cookbooks, and building a southern empire. But in 2013, one interview sent it all crashing down after a lawsuit exposed her use of racial slurs. Paula sat down on the Today Show to do damage control. Instead of owning up with humility, she stumbled through teary denials, awkward excuses, and even tried to flip the blame. It wasn't accountability, it was spin, and viewers weren't buying it. Sponsors dropped her in droves. The Food Network cut ties. Her billion-dollar brand evaporated almost overnight.
Please pick up that rock, pick up that boulder, and hit me as hard as you can.
That single interview didn't just show poor judgment, it cemented Paula as a public figure who couldn't face her own words. One bad moment, and her empire was gone. From royals to rappers, comedians to chefs, these interviews prove one thing. When the Mickey's on, your career is always one bad answer away from going up in flames.